Hi, I'm Daniel, and The Bad Guys 2 was out a week early in the UK, so I got to see it before most do. I'm not sure how Universal distribution decisions get made with Trolls 3 and The Bad Guys movies coming early, but then having to wait a while for Sing 2 plus Multi Aspiration Migration and The Wild Robot. But in this case, it's a benefit. I've been a big fan of the first movie. I already dedicated 80-minute video analysis of it in 2023. My original reaction to it was that I immediately wanted a sequel, but across the years I felt that yes, partly because I thought the series might be better, but also for the average to mediocre Christmas Halloween special on Netflix. The trailers for this film may look like it will be a good and fun return for these characters, but it didn't sell me on much more. However, after watching it, this is such an amazing sequel that I can't wait to follow up on the original, whilst also being such an epic experience to watch. It was a lot better than I thought, for a franchise where I struggled to see what new stories could give up, and it easily did. In this video, I will discuss why. I'm trying to get into that much detail that may touch on spoiler territory, because I think this movie is worth seeing, and it might have been better in areas without knowing trailers beforehand. So, The Bad Guys 2 features a group struggling to get a second chance in society, while a new master criminal emerges, and they get blackmailed into helping on one last job. Coming from someone who has been a fan of the Despicable Me franchise, this makes me look at what the Despicable Me sequels have been doing and sigh. It does so much more to form a criminal angle, showing their failed attempt at other jobs, and them investigating a criminal. It also does conflict with the going back to Rainy thing, that shows how they have changed, but also the doubt that comes from their change. The Dogman books say a lot of these things better, but beside the point. It's an interesting place to put the characters in that continues the theme set up. I will say that I ultimately prefer the first, for the character arcs involving the discovery of how it feels to be seen and do good, and the overall group bond of the bad guys. This still has those moments there, but there's yes depth or importance to them. With that said, this also has yes to criticise and does a lot far better. I originally was underwhelmed by the first villain plot just being to steal charity money, but this just takes the villain plot to the next level with how far that third act goes. I won't go into specifics, but it's an out there idea that is still entertaining to watch. This is a very interesting back and forth and how the villain's very competent and threatening without needing to completely outdo the bad guys. This story goes into some interesting ideas with some great reveals. One part of the plot is such a natural way to continue upon the first movie's ending, and it is foreshadowed and yet up to so well. It does a lot for these characters and adds a lot of dramatic weight to the story. This movie's pacing ties everything together, whilst allowing time for the first act not rushing to the adventure and staying fun. The writing and comedy of this movie is very strong. While not every single joke lands, this just has strong pace of jokes and characters who are funny. This is also just a fun tone that has such strong thrills except for the action set pieces. The opening flashback has a really cool car chase, and this wrestling arena was also just a fun scene. The one heist is a good throwback and homage to that genre, but this movie's switch away from those scenes works well. It also helps just how visually stunning its animation is. The character designs look good and this is stylized in such a strong way, especially when in quick motion. The way this camera moves around the scene with the cinematography just looks so great and stylistic. There's also an increase in lighting that really enhances so many of these locations. These movies just have so much personality in how it looks and through the characters. Mr. Wolf is a great protagonist who is so enjoyable with his confidence and charisma, but we also get an interesting internal conflict. I like how Timmy has this doubt despite being the first to explore goodness. Even if the movie doesn't make it amount to much, it's still some great scenes. Diane Foxton gets a good side plot, and it was good to see her again after not appearing in any of the shorter specials. This expanded the romance in a good way, and I liked how that was handled. This is a rare example of a movie with very clear undertones that can still have two good straight relationships. Yes, I said two, even if the other is more comedic. The rest of the group don't get a ton to do, but it doesn't feel needed and they set the purpose of the group well. And just them getting to be helpful on missions to have a running gag is enough. Mr. Snake gets a subplot and a role that is funny. The opening flashback made me think Tarantula would have a bigger role, but her, Shaq and Piranha are just young for the ride and I'm fine with that. Kitty is a strong example of being with interesting backstory and reasoning, while also being very evil and threatening. The way she often appears in shadows and the vocal forms of Danielle Brooks builds her up a lot. I think the whole celebrity voice cast were pretty good overall, but she was probably the highlight. The Bad Girls trio all have good personality, but out of the three, Pigtail does feel like she was just glanced over too much. There's one character who returned, and I was unsure if they were needed at first, but eventually won me over and made me excited around them. This whole cast here are fun, but the highlight for me is the prize ended up being the Peace Commissioner. She remains very funny as she was in the first movie. This actually gives her a strong arc and a new dynamic with the bad guys that is so fun. This franchise has established itself alongside the DreamWorks fate already, and the third movie may already be amongst my most anticipated films. About that, the entire ending and mid-credit scene is such a bait and sequel tease, but this movie easily earned it. It's a strong hook and just a cool way to conclude this movie. I hope that either the third is already in development, or if this does well enough to get that green yet. When I immediately want the third movie and to rewatch this, you know it's a sign of an amazing film. In conclusion, The Bad Guys 2 gets a 9 out of 10. As a sequel, I don't quite think that it's better, but I easily see why some may say that. It's very fun, well written, and was so action-packed and thrilling. It is currently my pick for favourite movie of 2025 so far, and think this may stay top 5-ish, especially if it gets better on rewatch like the first did. While I doubt this streak will last, I need to appreciate DreamWorks upon this past year releasing Wild Robot, Dogman, and this all being great to amazing movies. I think The Bad Guys 2 would easily serve Best Animated Feature nomination at the Oscars, but I doubt it will happen when the first didn't. I know DreamWorks have Puss in Boots: The Last Wish that year, and there's limited mainstream options. But I'll need to see what the overall reception is, and if most people are into this movie as me. On the topic of this channel, I will probably just do 2 or 3 videos a month, with my current issue being deciding what to get back to making next. I hope you enjoyed this review, and if you want to see more, watch my video analysing the first movie. The end.